This is the first sneak peek for the June update, and it is very interesting. We have time and cost reductions, quality of life changes, a new Builder's Apprentice, also a new tactical overview where every time you scout a base, and for the competitive players, a hard mode to the game. So, first of all, we will go over some quality of life changes. So, if any of your ores are full, now the blacksmith will display being full, and it will cycle through the icons of the ore types that are full. Also, when you upgrade your clan castle, it will automatically now be put to sleep mode instead of guard. This way you do not lose any CC troops that you do not wish to lose. The equipment's initial targeting has also been changed a bit, and now it takes into account the size of a building. This means that the likelihood of a fireball, seeking shield, or spiky ball targeting the wrong building has now been decreased, so that is very good. Additionally, for the builder base, there is now a reminder for obstructed defense layouts, just in case one of your layouts was blocked by an obstacle. And personally, my favorite is now players could reorder their Supercell ID list without having to switch between multiple accounts. Just like in previous updates, the time and cost reductions will be happening for lower town halls, so the resources needed to upgrade as well as the upgrade times have been reduced for a large variety of upgrades across many town hall levels, including defenses, troops, spells, heroes, and pets. So for people who wanted more builders, this is perfect addition. Welcome the Builder's Apprentice. As you can see, the Builder's Apprentice helps to complete buildings faster. It can be assigned to work on any upgrade once a day, and it will work for 1 hour each day to speed up the working speed. So this is really cool. It costs only 500 gems, and it can be recruited permanently once you are Town Hall 10. Bear in mind that the Builder Potion does not affect the Builder Apprentice, and also the Builder Apprentice can only be used in the home village, can't be assigned to the Forge or the Builder base. And when you upgrade this Builder's Apprentice, it can go up to level 8, and it will make the speed more efficient in that 1 hour. So it will work for 1 hour, and then there will be a 23-hour cooldown. It can go all the way up to level 8, and you can see a ×8 working speed. So this is a really cool addition to help people progress faster to the max town hall, and really great for players already at the max town hall, since anytime there's an update, they now have an additional builder to help them progress. Now we move on to the new tactical overview, and I think this is really cool, and I'm super happy it's been added. And basically, if you're hitting a base and you want to know the range of something, maybe you want to check if an NFS will hit your healers, or the water statues in the way, the range of the town hall, all of this can now be checked when scouting a base in Legends or during a war attack. All you have to do is click on the building you want to see. So if I click on this air defense, I see the range of the air defense, and it automatically selects every air defense so I can see the range. This is also quite nice because if I am trying to find a specific defense and I can't find one, for instance maybe the 4th air defense, if I click one of them, all 4 of them get clearly highlighted. So it's very hard to miss buildings, which is really nice. You can also click on the town hall, seeing the range. You can click on everything. So if you click on the builder huts, you can see their healing range. And if you click on, the expos, the infernos, they all light up. You see their range. And for certain buildings, it's going to be super helpful. Additionally, once the scout time of 30 seconds has run out, you could still do this afterwards if you're in Legends and you perhaps want a tiny bit more time to check the ranges of certain things. But of course, once you deploy a troop, you will then no longer be able to do so, for obvious reasons, as you may want to use spells on top of certain things. But this is honestly a super cool addition, and I think it will definitely be helpful for players. Now we move on to the biggest part of this sneak peek, and it is the hard mode. I think lots of competitive players will be very happy that this is coming to the game, and essentially what it is a setting which you can put in either friendly challenges or in friendly wars, At the moment, it is not in Legend League or in CWL. And what happens is, as you can see here, the defenses deal 5% more damage. The attacking heroes have 10% less HP, and they deal 15% less damage. And these numbers may seem small, but believe me, it really does stack up, and I think this will be very different to the normal game. 10% sounds like a very little amount, but when you combine that with the Rage Towers, which boost that even more, and it's every single building, it really is noticeable. 5% on an Arch Tower may not be a lot, but 5% on the Rage Monolith, however, it really does deal a lot more damage than you expect. Keep in mind, this is the first version of the hard mode, so it will evolve based on community feedback, and at the moment, it will not be used in any official Supercell tournaments, so the World Qualifiers will stay on the normal mode. But if community feedback is good, and other versions of the hard mode are received well, then perhaps it will be used in the World Finals later this year. I think that if you ask most competitive players what the strongest thing for offense is, they will all say the heroes. With the pets, with the equipment, the heroes are super strong. This nerf to the heroes, both HP and DPS, means that they simply die quicker, especially combined with the extra added power to the defenses. Maybe only 5%, but here I'll show an example on the normal mode, sending the king into a raged compartment, and we see what happens to him. I have not got the Phoenix on the king, I just want to see simply how the king will deal with this compartment. You see his health is quite high, he's dealing with DRC, doesn't lose much health, uses his ability soon, he has more than half health, and basically he deals with the compartment very easily. And in a second, I will show you what happens when you have hard mode, and will that 20% less HP, the less damage, and the more damage on the defenses actually do anything to the king. So let's see. Now I'm doing the exact same thing on the hard mode. You'll notice that right above the replay ends it mentions that it is the hard mode, so you know for sure it's the hard mode. The king at the start, there's no damage on him, so of course he doesn't lose anything. The Frosty helps to slow down the World Champion, so he doesn't lose too much health. He still has quite a lot of health, but let's see. Well, the difference already is he's getting close to half HP or less. With his ability, he's actually less than half HP. Before he was more than half HP. He uses the ability, the rage defenses and a few expos are hitting him. He struggles a lot more on the scatter. It takes him longer to take it out. And the double cannon, he actually fails to get it. So, honestly, this is quite a big difference. And I don't really like this change because I think the biggest problem is the heroes for the competitive players. And if you simply add building DPS, the troops will be imbalanced and it will be very hard. However, if you make the heroes weaker, that will make all attacks more difficult, and I think this is the perfect way to introduce the pro mode or the hard mode, and let's see what changes they make based on community feedback. If it's too easy, if it's too hard. I think it's super interesting, and I'm very happy that Supercell decided to introduce this mode, and it'll be super interesting to see the pro teams playing community tournaments with a bit more difficult mode. So let's quickly look at a Root Rider attack on the normal mode. Simply just Queen on one side, Siege Practice on the other, and spam all the roots in the middle with 2 overgrowths, and let's see how it goes. As you guys know, there was a nerf to the Root Riders recently, but I still believe they are one of the strongest troops in the game, and as we times 2 through this replay, the roots take a bit of damage, but at the end of the replay you'll see it was fine. And then we will compare this replay to the same attack on the pro mode. And as you'll notice, the roots ended up dying due to their, they have less HP, they have less damage. However, all of my heroes are alive at the end. So, as strong as people may think roots are, this attack is quite overkill, but it is due to the heroes. I have no Root Riders left, I have only heroes alive. So, what happens if I do the same attack, but my heroes are a lot weaker? Let's find out. Here is the same attack on the hard mode, and I'm trying to do everything as similar as possible. I rage, I dwell at the same time, I try to overgrow the same buildings, and you'll notice that, well, already the queen is taking a lot more time to move up. The RC loses health much quicker. Queen versus World Champion. Before, this was not so difficult of an interaction. Now, she went to ability early, and all of a sudden, my World Champion's already gone to ability, the Queen is dead, I have my King alive, but there's so much left on the base, and once again, the Root Riders died, but when the heroes are weaker, well, it's very possible to fail, and I think especially against bases with Rage Towers, where the defenses that are already boosted now get raged as well, I think we're going to see a lot more fails in certain community tournaments where this pro mode is used. It's not only in the spam attacks that become harder, also the more surgical attacks become a bit harder. So here is an attack with Queen Charge Lalo in the normal mode, as you can see, and the attack went quite smoothly. I think that surgical attacks will come back due to the pro mode. However, people need to be much more careful because I do think that at the start, people will very much overestimate the strength of the heroes, since they're so used to the King and Queen clearing so much of the base, but now it'll be much more difficult. So here, the King cleared the entire left-hand side. He got loads and loads of value, which meant the Queen could go to the core. She was fine during the charge. The radius was completely fine. I didn't have to use her ability. I didn't have to use an invis, extra freezes. It was very, very smooth. However, if I show the exact same hit with the pro mode, we'll see the difference in the Queen and the King. So it is really quite noticeable. So this is the exact same attack. I drop everything the same, and let's just focus on the Queen and how she is doing. Already, I feel like her HP is a bit less due to the Expo doing a bit more damage. Also, she has less HP total. And she does take a bit longer to take out certain defenses. An extra shot can really slow the hit down. It's a bit lower, but the rage is fine. What I made sure to do is drop my King at the same time. So in the last replay, I dropped my King as soon as the second Expo hit my Queen, so that it was as close to the last replay as possible. However, this time, when you encountered the CC with all this damage, it was a lot more difficult, and, well, she died in ability. So, already, you could see that it's much more possible to make these types of mistakes. Yes, there was 2 Expos on my Queen, but the double cannon was down, there was no rage defenses. Simply, the defenses do a bit more damage than you're used to, and if you're not careful, you can lose the ability quite quickly. The same hit again, and let's see if you're a bit more careful, does it go a bit better? So once again, I'll just times 2. The start is identical. The Queen gets a bit low, and one thing I want to mention is there's only an Expo and a Tesla on my Queen, and she's going to lose ability if I don't rage her. And I think previously, if there's only 2 defenses on your Queen, you almost didn't even lose health. Never mind lose this much health. So it's very interesting. Then I rage her, and she's doing fine. I wait for the second Expo to target my Queen before I drop the King, so it's the same as the last hit. Now I can go back to times 1. I rage the Queen. I poison. Sadly, the healers were just missed in the rage, which I also did this in the first attack. You'll notice the healers were slightly outside of the rage. Now, the same happened again, and before the Headhunters or Loots even got to my Queen, she went to ability. So she went to ability simply because of the rage not being there, never mind because of the DC coming out. So these tiny little things can really mess you up. Now we look at the King. We'll times 2 through it. The King dies much quicker. And now, if you want to charge the Queen to the core, well, without the ability, she'll struggle a lot. So I think it's important in the pro mode to execute your hits quite well, because a slight mistake could result in a fail, which without the pro mode wasn't quite the case. But for any of you guys worried that this is a bit too hard, don't worry. I think that it reminds me a bit of the difficulty of Town Hall 14. Maybe slightly harder. I do not think it's as hard as Town Hall 15 was. Of course, when you have all the extra power at Town Hall 16, be it the monolith, the rage towers, spell towers in general, there is more ability for a hit to go really wrong. But if your execution is on point, I think it's somewhat similar to how Town Hall 14 was. So in the competitive scene, we're not going to see that many perfect wars, I would think. Maybe only the top teams will be getting perfect wars, and we will be seeing defenses. So the competitive side of the game will not be a time meta. Once again, if you place the spells really well, your heroes will be fine. Like here, when I executed a bit better, the queen was completely fine. I didn't have to invest any extra spells. The king did his job. However, you'll notice that this time he did not go inside. This was because he lost HP quicker to the non-pro mode attack, which meant that when he loses HP, he has to go to Gauntlet quicker, and he has the ability to go slightly wrong by splashing a building that you otherwise wouldn't want to. However, the attacks can still go through. So the queen is quite often at low HP, and I think this is a bit of a difference to normal mode when you do a queen charge. Your queen will be quite low HP a lot of the time during the charge, so you have to keep her raged, and it's important to have the spells quite well timed. So I do think queen charge is a lot more difficult, but if it's executed well, I think it won't be too big of a problem. Here, with nothing major going wrong other than the king going outside, you'll notice that the hit does go through. It's not as overkill as the attack in the normal mode, as you would expect, because your heroes are much weaker, the defense is doing much more damage, and in fact, this hit got very, very close. So, I think it's a very cool thing to be added to the game, and it will really show a lot more skill in finding very interesting plans, and I think there'll be a lot more variety in the pro mode, which is the main thing that a lot of players want to see in a lot of community tournaments, rather than the same few armies being used, because they are the only armies which can triple bases fast. That is it for Sneak Peek 1. Thanks everyone for watching. There was honestly a lot of information in this sneak peek, so leave a comment, let me know what you thought about all the different things. What is your favorite part? Mine is the hard mode, and make sure when the update drops you have a creator code. Ours is code blue, and stay tuned for more exciting update news.